Hey everyone, Michael Ortega here at reInvent, over here in the Rubrik Nomakai hideout here with Kavitha, our Chief Transformation Officer here at Rubrik. Now Kavitha, in your role, you sit with executives of the largest companies, CISOs, CIOs, CTOs, helping them on their IT and security transformation initiatives so they can go innovate in their business. I want to talk to you here with theCUBE about some of the things that you're seeing through these conversations. So in talking with our customers at Rubrik, what are some of their biggest cyber priorities that you're hearing right now?
Michael, good to be here, and thank you for doing this interview. At the forefront of most of our customers, and I would say future customer priorities, are really, what they're really focused on is how to securely and safely deploy AI and continue innovating at the same time, right? Every organization today is focused on embracing Agentic AI as a core part of their organizational transformation, to drive higher innovation and growth. And to do that, they're leaning in, two, also grappling with what that means, right? Operationally, technically, and sort of economically.
Absolutely, so AI, it's a hot trend, everyone's investing, wants to make the most of it, and that's where people are spending time. But there's a lot of risk involved with that as well. So tell me more about the nature of threat. Obviously AI, tons of opportunity, but what's the nature of threat you're hearing from some of these executives and what they're concerned with?
Yeah, look, Agentic, we've talked a lot about this in our other conversations, right? AI introduces so much potential and opportunity. At the same time, unmanaged and ungoverned introduces and amplifies the level of risk, right, within an organization. So whether it is managing and protecting against AI-generated or accelerated threats, or two, safely deploying AI for innovation initiatives, automation, and things like that, organizations are having to start to think about what that looks like, right? What can happen? When we think about Agentic AI, we think about automation at scale. Right? We think about speed up at scale. We think about the ability to perform tasks that we've never been able to do before. And what that does is also create a certain level of autonomy within the organization. An AI agent has the potential, one, to be autonomous, which is great, which is what we want. But AI agents also don't sleep or rest like we do. And what that means is, you're introducing a whole new threat vector or risk vector into the organization. They are polymorphic, and you have the potential, one, to introduce a completely autonomous entity into your organization or your enterprise environment that can misfire, can go rogue, right? By simply trying to do or perform a task, by optimizing a task. The other thing is how do you manage that? How do you build guardrails? How do you think about kind of safely and securely deploying AI? And then the other element of this is like what happens when AI is also used to sort of perpetrate cyber threats. Right? So the veracity, the amplitude, or the scale of this is beyond what we have experienced before.
Absolutely. So agents bring a whole new level of autonomy, as you mentioned, which is great. People will be more productive, but it's a whole new risk vector. And I know we've talked a lot about agents. It's like this blending of these non-deterministic models, right? AI models. Plus the ability to take action, and that can cause a mistake.
Right.
We hear about some of the mistakes in the news. Can you tell me a little bit more about what are some of these mistakes that can actually happen or damage that an agent can cause?
Yeah, I would say maybe characterize them in potentially two buckets, right? One is unintentional, which is an agent being trained to do what it should do, which is, for example, telling an agent to optimize a database, and its potential task execution could be to delete the database inadvertently because that is how it's optimizing it. The other is actually one that is more consequential, more, I would say, intentional, where an agent performs a malicious task like malicious injection of code. That can introduce a whole new threat vector. I would say wide-scale damage within the organization.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's really interesting with agents. It's unlike just a simple hallucination where if a chatbot tells you that the capital of Mexico is France, an agent's taking an action, like you mentioned. It could erase an entire database. There's a whole new way to think about risk with unintended, not just unintended hallucinations, actual action.
Right.
And then, of course, the malicious sort of compromise you mentioned. So how is a company like Rubrik helping our customers solve and tackle these problems,
Yeah.
right? So they don't end up on the front page of the Wall Street Journal for some agent that went rogue, so to speak.
Yeah, which we're starting to see a lot of now,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like the tip of the spear of like what the potential with agents would be, and kind of what some of the new kind of risk patterns that we're seeing. One of the things Rubrik Zero Labs actually just recently discovered through a study is that 50% of cyber attacks are actually agentic AI. In the future are going to be agentic AI generated. And that is a huge number. And as I said, we're just kind of like at the tip of the spear right now, a tip of the iceberg. We're going to see so much more of this. And what is Rubrik doing? Well, one of the things Rubrik is really focused on is ensuring that we're creating sort of the control plane for organizations and enterprises to be able to manage their AI deployments, right? Their agentic deployments within their organization. A key capability that we have introduced, a core capability would be agent govern, right? So the ability to actually like create a zero trust environment to be able to govern, create guardrails around AI agentic deployments. I would say what's even more exciting is Agent Rewind, that gives us the ability to, and gives organizations the ability to actually roll back any sort of agentic actions that would have been inadvertent, unplanned, or malicious to a clean state. That is fairly revolutionary if you think about it. But then again, if you think about it based on Rubrik's core DNA and what we do, it's so logical, and it's so much a North Star for us, and there's so much work that we're putting into that and to invest.
Yeah, absolutely. That heritage of recovery
Right.
and resilience.
Right.
Yeah, and Rubrik Agent Cloud really bringing together that
Right.
governance layer plus the rewind. I love the rewind capability as well.
Yeah.
I heard an analogy. A lot of platforms, there's like some level of observability, so they show you the fire but don't hand you the extinguisher.
Right.
How do you solve it when that agent misbehaves? You
Right.
need a way to undo, and I love that rewind
I think
capability.
a lot of development in the area. People talk about identification of threats, visibility, but I think what is also going to be really important is how we remediate some of this, right? Remediating some of these actions back to a clean state. Look, I think one of the things we all have to come to terms with is the fact that incidents are going to occur, right? And we are going to need better detection and prevention technologies, hands down. But at the end of the day, we're coming to a common state of that, whether it's operational disruptions, agentic disruptions, security disruptions, these are going to occur multiple times in a day. And what a business needs to care about, at the end of the day, a business, if you're in the business of making t-shirts, you should really worry about making the best t-shirts and like driving profitability, and not about security and IT, right?
Absolutely.
We really want to create an environment where companies, organizations, enterprises can do their best work, can innovate.
100%.
And we need to create an environment where I think there's a mindset shift that we should assume breach, assume a disruption, and how do we restore everything back to a clean state, so it's as much of this is a non-incident or non-disruption to a day-to-day operation.
Definitely.
Right?
Better to be prepared, right, when that moment
Right.
happens, that we know inadvertently these moments do happen.
And understand what's kind of minimally viable for an organization to get back up and running. And that is a huge mindset change, because people don't think about this.
Yeah.
We always think about, how do I detect an anomaly? How do I potentially prevent an anomaly? Which is great, we need to be that. But when we think about defense in depth, it really is about restoring the business very quickly back to a clean state, right? And kind of maintaining business continuity. And when you have that mindset, I think we really work backwards.
Yeah.
From like, what does catastrophic, a catastrophic incident look like, and what is your minimally viable business or organization, right? And that is a lot of the work that we do, other than obviously building technology, enabling our customers, is also to like partner with a lot of C-suite through this journey, because for many of us and them, it's the first time that we're all going through this, at this speed of innovation, right? So that community that we're creating around this C-suite, the best practice sharing around sort of this AI CXO Council that we just launched here at AWS reInvent, a lot of this is kind of our work to create a community around knowledge sharing, awareness, best practice sharing, so that as a collective we we move the ball forward together.
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah. So it's more than just the technology, right?
Absolutely.
It's the community, and then as a transformation officer, you sitting with our customers and talking through the strategies. So now, a year to come, what should people customers expect to see from Rubrik as we look forward?
Well, I think one of the things you're going to expect to see is that we're going to be very focused on foundational security innovation, right, and technologies. We are a security and AI ops company, and you can absolutely expect us to be putting our foot on the gas pedal with AI operations innovation. They go hand in hand, and much of our innovation enablement, and as I said, it's not just about technology. A significant part of organizational, I would say, speed to move isn't just about technology adoption. It really is about legacy technical debt. It's about inertia and organizational structure. And so, you can expect to see Rubrik address all of the above, right? Technology, help our customers, handhold our customers with a lot of their initial deployments around security and AI ops, as well as a community for practitioners and the C-suite with best practice sharing and community building, right?
Awesome. So we're helping pave that way with our customers.
Absolutely.
Love it. Maybe to wrap up, one question I always love to ask: what are you most excited about in the year to come? What's what you wake up in the morning like, yes, this is cool, or this is happening?
I was just thinking about this, and I'm going to date myself. So last week would have been 32 years that I, joined the workforce as a young engineer, and I would never have thought 32 years later I would be sitting here equally or even more excited about the pace of innovation and technology and what. And it sounds cliched, but honestly, AI is definitely going to be and is the next industrial revolution, right? All the goodness that's going to come out of that, obviously the amplification of risk, but I'm so excited about the potential of the technology right ahead of us and what this can do for business, make people safer, improve people's lives and create productivity at a scale that we've never seen before. I think it's tremendous.
Yeah, a lot of time is spent on the sometimes the fear of AI and the risk, which is important to prepare for, but the opportunity for humankind, even in health, as we talked about earlier.
Totally, remote learning,
remarkable.
Drug discovery, surgeries, all types of things, like
awesome.
autonomous, taking autonomous vehicles to the next level. I mean, there's just so much. And I think also think about what that does for supporting our back-end technologies. Like we're starting to see silicon manufacturers really double down on what this looks like. So we're networking, vendors really doubling down on what this looks like, because at the end of the day, this is a reframing of a lot of foundational elements, right, of where we are. So how cool is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Right? It's a fun, exciting world out there,
and
we're going to go check out the rest of reInvent to see all the new innovations. So thanks, Kavitha, again for
thank you, Michael.
Sharing your experiences.
Thank you.